It is the Tan and J-Man Show live on January 15th. Frigid Midwest temps, but we'll warm it up with some of our stupid hot takes tonight. Takes, tips, topics, picks, or more. I can't do it. I just
hot takes, topics, picks, and more.
Hot takes, topics, picks, and more. Where am I getting tips from?
We could throw tips in there too. It just makes it a more jumbled mess, but we can do that.
Well, I make it a jumbled mess anyway. But I'm the J-Man. Sitting next to me in a different state is the Tan Man. How you doing out there, T-Dog?
Doing good, J-Man. I gotta think sports wise. I'm probably doing a little better than you right now. You kind of had a tough sports weekend.
Oh, that was the worst sports weekend I've had in probably 4 years.
Yeah, that was rough.
But hey, it happens.
Well, we'll get into it. But I think one thing we can both agree: how about them Cowboys? How about them boys?
I didn't realize how much I hated the Cowboys until I found myself rooting for the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers are a lot easier to root for now that they don't have a bumbling conspiracy theorist as their quarterback. But yeah, I was rooting pretty hard for the Packers because I cannot stand the Dallas Cowboys.
I guess I'm not shocked that the Packers won because everybody in the playoffs is in the playoffs for a reason. But it's the way they won.
Yeah.
And just dominated the game from start to finish. And at one point, it looked like it was going to be an absolute blowout. Of course, Dallas made it a little closer than the game really was. But that's what took me back.
Yeah. So how many times has Green Bay beaten Dallas and then gone on to lose to San Francisco?
A lot. Green Bay kind of owns the Cowboys.
They do.
But is there any other franchise in sports that's as overrated as the Dallas Cowboys?
No. Cowboys haven't been to a conference championship game since '95.
Yeah, we're approaching 30 years.
Yeah, 30. It'll be 30 years. Yeah, next year it'll be 30 years.
I mean, yeah, really in our lifetime since we started watching sports, because I don't know about you, but I can't really remember anything sports in '95 actually watching it. Cowboys haven't done anything in the playoffs. We've seen them do this 12-5, 12-win regular season over and over again, but it's just funny. The media hypes them up every year, and then they just choke in the playoffs.
Of the four big, like, America's team sort of deal, you got the Knicks, you got the Lakers, you got the Yankees. Lakers and Yankees have won stuff here this century.
Yankees it's been 15 years. So, yeah. I mean,
it has. But I mean, they had a ridiculous run in the 90s and 2000s. You kind of don't think about it like that, like you do the Cowboys, who haven't done anything since '95.
Good point. So in college sports, I don't know. I mean, we've seen so many programs make runs that I don't think you can really pin a college school as overrated as a pro franchise. And NHL, I can't think of any. I think the Cowboys take the cake there.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So, but I have a birdie or bogey question in the holster for you. We are both 1 over par. Starting the year off hot, like usual. I got to bring it up on my phone now so I get all my wording correct here. What quarterback and pass catcher have combined for the most touchdowns in playoff history?
Quarterback, pass catcher. Could be wide receiver, could be tight end, could be running back.
Correct.
Quarterback, pass catcher. All right.
Yep.
Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House is upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere located 703 Main Street in Rochester, Indiana. They are back open, as well as their golf simulators, as well as their simulators as a whole. They have golf, they have basketball, baseball, zombie dodgeball, hockey.
I want to do that.
Carnival games, football, zombie dodgeball.
I want to do it all, but that zombie dodgeball sounds
fun.
Really fun. It looked like I saw a company in Rochester had their holiday party, Christmas party, there over the weekend, and they were playing a zombie dodgeball and home run derby. It looked like, and a few other things.
Yeah.
So it looked like a good time. Yeah, for sure.
But get your veggies.
All right, J man. What do you want to start with tonight? We can talk.
Up to you.
We can talk. We can get our last part 3 of our 24 bowl prediction for 2024 out of the way. We can talk college hoops. I don't care what. Or we can talk coaching vacancies.
Let's
Whatever.
get this bold prediction out of the way. It was a struggle.
Oh,
It was a
yeah, it
struggle.
was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. So I'll let you start it off.
Major League Baseball will implement a challenge system for balls and strikes.
Okay, I like that.
They're already doing it at the AAA level. It's going really, really well for the most part and quick.
What are they doing? What?
So literally, it's a buzzer sort of deal. And pitch comes in, player doesn't like it, he'll like put his hand up, challenge, and it'll immediately buzz, and then he'll change the call. Like it's nothing. So I don't know like how many challenges you can have an inning or a game or anything like that, but yeah,
I like it. My first one's baseball related as well. I think the Philadelphia Phillies will win the World Series.
Interesting.
Don't ask me why. I guess they've been kind of close the last 2 years. Yeah, I was trying to think of somebody that's not the outright favorite or in the top 3 or anything. So,
no,
kind of go bold.
The Detroit Lions are going to win the NFC and play in a Super Bowl
this year.
That's
bold.
Oh,
that's bold.
Yeah.
I'm going college basketball for my second one. The state of Indiana will get 3 teams in the NCAA tournament.
Who are they? Purdue, Indiana State, Butler?
I'm actually going Purdue, Indiana State, and Purdue Fort Wayne.
Interesting.
I think Purdue Fort Wayne wins their conference tournament. Well, that they have to get in.
Yeah. Same with Indiana State, probably.
Yeah, Butler wouldn't surprise me. They're the other one probably in the mix. And Indiana, of course. Indiana's but Indiana needs some – they need to start getting some big wins.
Especially on
they got an opportunity tomorrow night. So.
Yeah. Oregon wins the Big Ten in their first season next year.
Ooh. New head coach and all, huh? Nope. Yeah, I thought you said Washington in my head. Nope. Yep. Lanning's still there. New quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. Yep.
Which Dylan Gabriel threw 40-plus touchdowns at Oklahoma last year. So
yeah. And decided not to stay. Crazy. My next one's NFL related. I think Sean McVay steps away.
Interesting. That was on my bold predictions last year. I thought he was going to go do TV or something. I like that one.
I think he takes a year off. Worked for Sean Payton as far as becoming a hot commodity.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll see more coaches do this in the future. Take a year off, kind of rejuvenate the batteries, do some TV, and then they can get paid pretty much whatever they want.
He's only 37, 38 still. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Caleb Williams does not go 1-1.
Who does?
You're gonna have to find him.
Okay, all right, you're following up. I've done this one quite a few times on our bold prediction, but it's one of those I'm going to probably keep throwing it out there till it happens. If it ever happens, Ricky Fowler will win a major championship.
Yeah. He's your Rory for me.
Actually, last year I just said tournament, and that happened. So maybe I'll speak this into existence.
Marvin Harrison Jr. does go number 1 overall. It was a stretch for both of those, but
to the Bears. Then you think the Bears keep the no?
Whoever's picking 1's going to take him.
Okay. I thought maybe you were tripling up and the next one was going to say, okay.
No.
All right. My next one's Olympics related. The USA will win the medal count in the Olympics in Paris.
When's the last time they didn't?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like
that's real bold there, Tanner.
I feel like sometimes they win the gold count, but maybe not the overall medal count. I don't know. I'm not very
we'll give you that.
knowledgeable on my Olympics history. So
I put this on here before Travion Henderson for Ohio State decided to come back. Quinshon Judkins will win the Heisman. Transfer from has like 2,500 yards rushing his first 2 years. But
never know. Well, I had a Heisman one related in 2 down on my list, but I'll go ahead and throw it up right here. Carson Beck, quarterback from Georgia, will win the Heisman Trophy.
All right. He played well down the stretch.
Yeah, he did. But I was not going to say Shadir Sanders. That's who everybody's picking.
My gosh. I'm so sick of that.
They better win 9 or 10 games for him to be in consideration.
To be even in the discussion.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of that.
Yeah, me too.
Ryan Day is fired for not beating Michigan again.
And I don't remember. I know I had Harbaugh going to NFL as one of my bold predictions. So yeah, it'd be interesting. That's something. If it happens, we can definitely talk about who we think Michigan's next head coach will be.
Yeah.
My next one's kind of odd because you're going to be like, "What are you talking about?" Caitlin Clark will be drafted number 1 by the Indiana Fever.
Fever, huh?
Well, they got the number 1 pick.
It's that is not bold at all, there, Tanner.
It's is she going to go to the WNBA or not?
Oh,
there's discussions.
Caitlin Clark. Back?
There's discussions that she might not go to the WNBA.
Interesting.
I don't know what she would do, but
honestly, going from Iowa to the WNBA, she's going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah, no, that right, and I don't know. I don't know if there's other. Nah, I doubt overseas for women. Is there even overseas basketball for women?
Yeah, I remember Brittany Griner got picked up in Russia.
Oh yeah. I don't know, but I don't know. I've just been hearing like, will she even go play if she's number 1 pick? So
that's interesting. I can't imagine somebody giving up basketball who's that good at it.
Right. Right. Or maybe she doesn't want to play for the Fever. Maybe that's the case. I don't know.
We'll see.
I probably just wussed out on a bold prediction. That was probably the easy one. So.
That was a very easy one. Okay. Because she will go number 1 overall.
Yeah, she will. She will.
Regardless.
Hey, I'm trying to pad my stats a little bit.
Yeah. This will be Dabo's final season at Clemson.
All right.
I don't think he'll get fired. He won't get fired, but it'll be like sick of this NIL stuff. He's been against it since day one anyway, and they haven't been as good the past couple of years. So maybe takes a year off or so. Maybe gets that fire back, kind of like Sean McVay.
Yeah, I can see it. My last one. This is my Rory. This is my Rory one.
No.
The NBA will announce the return of the Seattle Supersonics.
Book it.
Gonna happen. Announce Vegas and announce Seattle. Announce your 2. Then you move Memphis to the East. Boom.
Memphis should be in the East anyway.
They should.
I know they came from Vancouver, but
yes.
I think last year they will announce expansion teams in baseball or basketball or whatever. Yeah, we haven't had expansion teams since the Bobcats, their last one for any of the sports.
Yeah, now they're back to the Hornets.
Yeah.
The Golden Knights, Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Who won the Stanley Cup last year? I'm just saying. So, yes.
The 3 sports I care about, I'm saying is
right. Because
the Knights do count.
The last one for the NFL was the Texans, and the last one for the MLB was what?
Diamondbacks, Rays.
Diamondbacks, did they come in the same year?
I think so, 98. Yeah. I want to say.
Then the Marlins and Rockies were before them.
93, I think they came in. But the Texans were about 2001-ish?
Yeah, maybe. I think they announced, well, David Carr was the draft pick. I think that was 01 or 02, one of those years, yeah.
So, I don't know if the NFL is going to expand. I hadn't even heard rumors. I think they're pretty good at 32 teams.
Good buddy of ours was actually texting me about that today. He thinks within 5 years, I hope he's wrong, he thinks within 5 years we'll see a whole division over in Europe.
I have a guess on who texted you that. Am I correct on who texted you that?
Yes, I guarantee you. Yeah. Yeah, because we got the whole rabbit hole of discussion about
whole division over in Europe, huh?
Yeah, because I said I just don't see him putting a team. He goes, "Oh, they won't put a team; they'll put a whole division." I said, "I'd hate that. I mean, how would you logistically still make that work? And with free agency, and
it'd be brutal.
It'd be a mess."
Yeah, I'd
rather put a team in Canada.
Go play overseas, but yeah,
I'd rather put a team in Canada. I realize Canada's got CFL, but MLB does it. NHL, of course, does it. NBA's got a team up there.
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid. No offense, Aaron.
Well, those are our 24 bold predictions for 2024, and I already got one wrong. I said Mike Vrabel would be the head coach of the New England Patriots. That was one of mine last week, and Gerard Mayo is the head coach of the New England Patriots because, J-Man, what a 3-day stretch we saw around the football world last week with Pete Carroll. I'm going to say got fired got kind of politely asked to move to the side, could stay with the organization if he wants. Nick Saban then retires, and then the following day, I'm going to say Belichick got fired. Pretty much.
The Belichick one, we saw that coming since about week 2. But the Pete Carroll one was kind of a surprise, but at the same time you look at it, it really wasn't. The Nick Saban one came out of nowhere. But
the
that
Nick
was
Saban
actually
one was a surprising one, I thought.
that was actually on my bold prediction. I had to change it because I was going to say it this week that this would be Saban's last year, but I would have got it wrong anyway.
I almost put the Pete Carroll one. That was gonna be one of mine this week because I thought he was gonna retire.
Yeah,
and I think I said that on a podcast a month or 2 ago. I thought he'd retire, but
I mean he's the same age as Saban, 72, I believe. Yeah, when you have a longtime head coach like that, you never use the term fired. It's just went their separate ways, offered a spot in the organization, whatever. Which who knows if Pete Carroll will take that. Belichick, though, that one, I mean, they obviously left on great terms, and they both had press conference right next to each other. Kraft and Belichick did. Both parties are probably knew it was time to move on.
I did see today they offered his son's spots to stay if they want to, which surprised me.
Because was Steve calling the defensive plays? Was he D coordinator? Because I know Gerard Mayo they must be reassigning him to a different spot because Gerard Mayo's been trying to interview some defensive coordinator candidates.
I don't think they'll stay. If their dad lands somewhere, I think they'll go with their dad, which let's break that open. These 3 guys, what do you see in their futures for next year? All 3 of them.
Saban's retired.
Yeah, I think he does TV though. Watch him join game day.
He's pretty funny. He's got a dry sense of humor, has some good stories. Seems like he'd be pretty good on TV. He might want to take some time off though.
Yeah, it matters if Miss Terry has a laundry list of items for him to do or not, because that guy is maybe bleeds football.
Yeah.
More than any other coach out there. So
yeah, I think it'll be pretty tough for him. But I think he was probably pushed. The transfer portal and NIL and all that probably pushed him into retirement a little earlier than he probably wanted to. But I think he's just he can't hang it. Maybe not hang anymore, but it takes a lot more work than he used to.
I like what Thad Moody's putting here on Facebook. Save him for Corso on game day.
I like that.
Yeah. Before we keep talking about these coaches, I got some bold predictions here from Bronson Kreischer, who, of anybody of the 10J Mention Nation, I guarantee he hits the golf ball farther than anybody. He competes in long drive competitions. He lives in Colorado. Guy can kill the golf ball. He says, bold for 2024, Live Golf gets on a major sports entertainment broadcast. I think they need to get away from the CW.
Yeah.
Otani goes down with a major injury. The Joker wins MVP. That was one of mine. Arch Manning wins starting job in Texas, even though with Quinn Ewers coming back, that's a bold one. Bold side prediction: within 5 years, the NFL will be playing games in Saudi Arabia after a partnership with the NFL.
So I could see that happening. Otani did just have Tommy John. So I guess that could count as his major injury. Probably won't be throwing the ball much, but
right. But yeah, I don't think Pete Carroll does anything. But Belichick, I think Belichick's coaching somewhere next year.
I do too. I know Atlanta's been rumored for a while.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
I just don't see him as a fit there for whatever reason. Dallas, absolutely a fit. However, maybe not a fit. It just seems like he would fit in there. However, you think Bill's going to want to have Jerry control the personnel for him?
No, maybe Jerry will realize my franchise hasn't done anything in 30 years.
Maybe.
If Belichick and I can give him the reins.
However, I don't think Bill got fired because he's a bad head coach. I think he's a terrible general manager.
Right.
Horrendous general manager. You look at his drafts the past 5 or 6 years, barely any of those guys are still on the roster, if not even in the league
right.
at this point. So
Right. I agree with that. I don't know where he ends up. I mean, fortunately for me, it might be the AFC West. Could be the Raiders, could be the Chargers. Chargers did interview Jim Harbaugh today.
Yeah.
I think Harbaugh could be a candidate for both those jobs. I know the Raiders players want Antonio Pierce. So the fact that Max Crosby said he'll request a trade if Antonio Pierce isn't kept.
Well, I mean, Davis screwed up the interim thing last time
Yes, he
when
did.
Rich Bisaccia led him to the playoffs after firing Gruden
Yep.
and hired the doofus that is Josh
I
McDaniels.
I've heard rumors if it wasn't for all the stuff around Gruden, he'd hire Gruden. He'd bring
He'd
Gruden
hire
back
him
in a
back.
heartbeat
Yeah.
because they're still paying him.
Yeah.
He loves the guy.
For some reasons
Yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah, I saw the Chargers put on Twitter. We have finished our interview with
Right.
Jim Harbaugh.
Right.
Can you imagine if colleges did that?
No, but I will say the Broncos have done that for years, so I'm used to it because they've
Yeah.
got so many coaching searches.
It's just wild that
I know.
they put it out there, and it just can you imagine if like Purdue during their coaching search, oh, so they're actually going after him, or because it's so secret in college games for whatever reason.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Purdue fans flip out when they hire whoever they hire. I can't imagine if they knew some of the names they've talked to over the years. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's wild, man. And in Alabama's case, we see them fill Saban's position within 72 hours. Caleb DeBoer from Washington. I think it's a good hire, but man, I don't know if I'd want to take that job and try to fill Nick's shoes.
That'd be brutal. Yeah, he went from Indiana offensive coordinator to Alabama head coach within 4 or 5 years.
Pretty incredible.
That is. He did great work at Fresno State as an offensive coordinator, great work at Indiana as an offensive coordinator, and great work at Fresno as a head coach, and then obviously Washington.
And he did a great job on the lower level FCS head coach before he got before he got the OC job at Fresno.
Yeah, he runs a different style of offense. I mean, they like to throw the ball where Saban was always run it down your throat,
right.
Maybe have a good quarterback every once in a while, which they did with Hurts and Tua. And yeah, I'll even throw Mac Jones in there. But before that, I mean, A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy, none of those guys were game changers. But
yeah, Jalen Milroe's got some tools, but he had a tough playoff game in the Rose Bowl against Michigan, which, of course, we didn't even hit on that yet. Michigan did win the national championship last Monday night against Washington. So a Big Ten team that's not named Ohio State won a national championship in our lifetime, which I guess Michigan did in '97. Once again, we really weren't paying attention then. Yeah. That's why I think Harbaugh to the NFL makes more sense right now than ever. What else is he going to do?
Yeah, I mean, he brought a title back, and he has still the controversies hanging over his head a little bit. It's probably time for him to get out. I know Michigan wants him back, as they should. But
Yep. So I'm putting you on the spot. So January 15th, let's go around all the openings and take your best guess of who's filling those, and we'll start with the Chargers.
Harbaugh.
I think that's where he lands. I think that's where he lands. It's probably the most attractive from an offensive standpoint because of Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
And now the question is, with Harbaugh, could he take Herbert from good quarterback to elite quarterback?
Yeah. The thing with Harbaugh, there's a reason why NFL teams have been poaching for Michigan staff from the past 3 or 4 years. They run fun style of offense, fun style of defense. He's won a lot of games in the NFL as is, but he felt, even when he was with 49ers, he felt like more of a college guy for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now he seems like an NFL guy again.
Yep. So. I think he's itching to do something his brother's done that he hasn't done, win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And his one Super Bowl loss was to his brother. And his brother could get another one this year, potentially. So, all right, Raiders.
I think Antonio Pierce. If Mark Davis is smart, which we know he's not, he needs to make the smart move. Antonio Pierce held that team together to the point where they were still in the playoff discussion in week 16.
Yeah.
Week 17. But if he's smart, I think he really loses the locker room if he doesn't hire Pierce.
Yeah, I agree. So. I agree with you there. Atlanta Falcons.
Oh man, they need somebody fun, especially with all those tools on offense. I mean, Arthur Smith was such a bumbling idiot. Man, I don't even know. I'm gonna go with Ben Johnson.
I was just gonna say, how about the OC from Detroit?
Yeah, Lions OC. I think they could put up a ton of points. He's doing a heck of a job there in Detroit, and I think that makes sense. He's all those weapons.
This could be the year Detroit lose both their coordinators. He and Aaron Glenn could both find there. And actually, I think Aaron Glenn takes the Carolina job.
Oh, interesting. I'm going Vrabel, Carolina.
Ooh, okay.
They need some toughness. They need some leadership there because they definitely don't get it from their owner, David Tepper. So it'd be smart for him to hire somebody with some credibility. I know he did this past offseason, but that went very poorly. But
Watch out if the Dallas fires McCarthy. I know everybody's saying Belichick. Watch for Vrabel in Dallas.
yeah, that could work too.
But I think Vrabel ends up in Washington.
Interesting.
I don't
I'm
know
good.
why. I just think he's too good of a coach not to be somewhere.
Yeah. I think Belichick ends up in Washington.
Man, that'd be weird.
That'd be weird.
He and Eric Bieniemy.
Seems like I don't know if they'd be able to coexist.
They do have the number 2 overall pick. They could go get whatever quarterback they wanted.
They
That if one doesn't go at 1. So
yeah, they're in a pretty good spot where they'll get either Caleb Williams or Drake May, or if they like somebody better, take them there.
And then Seattle, I was saying this, and I'm still sticking with it, even though his performance yesterday was bad. Dan Quinn.
I agree with you. I think Quinn will get a head coaching job this cycle.
His 3rd year in a row where he's had interviews. So
yeah. Eventually somebody's going to hire him. I mean, yesterday was bad, but you got to look at his whole body of work, and they were really good defensively this year for the most part.
And Seattle just makes sense. He was D coordinator there before he took the Atlanta job. And I feel like Seattle's been waiting for an opportunity to get him. He's kind of the guy they've wanted to replace Pete.
Maybe even Darrell Bevel, Dolphins quarterback coach. He was Russ's OC out there in Seattle for years, and he was always a hot head coaching candidate, and he never really got it. But
it's true. Bronson got another question here on Facebook. Who do you think is a coaching choice that isn't getting thrown out there for a head coach position, or isn't a top name being talked about by the media? It's a good question.
That's a good question.
Really, Bieniemy hasn't been talked about all this time.
Yeah, which is probably pretty smart. Maybe this is the time he actually gets it, and that's a good one. Because he's not getting that buzz, and it's probably because he didn't have Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball for him. But yeah, he hasn't been mentioned at all, and I assume Rivera's staff's going to be completely canned. So maybe I know a fan base probably isn't going to be too happy with hiring him, especially after the disaster that was Washington this year. But maybe he ends up in like Carolina or something.
Yeah, and I think Carolina's the worst job out there.
It's terrible.
Even though they got the number 1 quarterback, but
yeah, you're saddled with the number 1 overall pick that played poorly this year.
Right, so. Right. There's just so many young coaches around the NFL right now that have only been at their job 1 or 2 years.
Yeah,
it's and I can't think of anybody on TV who would be a good fit anywhere.
No, there's probably somebody on Shanahan's staff out in San Francisco that'll get a look because that's kind of the way it goes these days.
A couple other names have been thrown out there. Steve Wilkes has been thrown out there for some jobs, and so has Raheem Morris.
Mm-hmm. So. Which, Wilkes got a really raw deal out there in Arizona a few years ago. Raheem Morris has been a candidate, seems like, for a decade now.
Yep.
But maybe Lovey gets a job again. Somehow he continued to hang around, but
maybe Monken, the offensive coordinator from Baltimore.
Yeah.
He came from Georgia this year, and then they're doing well. Maybe he gets a look, but I know he was in college for a little while, and then I went to the pros, so maybe they want somebody with actual head coaching experience. Maybe he gets a look by somebody. Yeah. So I can tell you nobody's good. Well, actually, I haven't seen, but they thought that Vance Joseph might get some interviews for head coaching jobs.
Boy.
Yeah, but he hasn't that I know of. But they thought some of the media thought he actually might. So.
Yeah, it's so tough to hire a retread because when does a retread ever win? I mean, I know Belichick did, but it's a different day now.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you look around the league, what other retreads doing well?
I'm going through the head coaches in my mind now.
I mean, Frank Reich was a disaster this year for Carolina. Doug Peterson, they had a miracle comeback last year, but you look at the record, they were 9-8 last year, 9-8 this year. It's not going that well. McCarthy did okay in Dallas, but I mean,
he did well. He's not winning when it really, really matters for the franchise. So
Doesn't. Yeah. I think Sean Payton will be a good retread, but yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point, Jay, man. I can't think of anybody, and I don't. Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to follow. That's for sure, because it just. I didn't think we'd ever see a week where 3 future Hall of Fame coaches either say goodbye on their own doing or are told goodbye in 1 week. It's pretty crazy.
In a span of like 48 hours too.
Yep. Pretty crazy. But NFL playoffs, they're going on as we speak with Buffalo and Pittsburgh. I don't know what the score is. It was 21-7 when we started the podcast. I don't know what the score is now. And then tonight we have the Buccaneers and the Eagles, which we know the winner of that game is going to be going to Detroit next week because Detroit won probably the game of the weekend. Was the game of the weekend against the Rams last night. I thought Matthew Stafford was going to break Detroit's heart there late, but they couldn't get it done, even though Detroit only scored 3 points in the second half. Found a way to get their first playoff win in 30 years.
Yeah. Bills are up 24-10, but Pittsburgh is driving.
They're hanging in there.
But yeah, there was only one good game over the weekend, and that was the game I didn't watch. I pretty much watched all the other ones, but yeah, two blowouts on Saturday, and then a blowout. The Cowboys game was a blowout, but
that Texans-Browns one started out like it was going to be a fun game, back and forth, and then 2 pick sixes by Joe Flacco, and that game flipped on its head and never turned around.
Man, C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, for that matter, the 2 playoff debuts were fantastic, just fantastic. Both threw 3 touchdowns.
Franchises have bright futures. Not that the Packers really need it; they've always been pretty good. But they and the Texans are going to be a menace for years to come, I think.
Yep, I agree with you. And Houston nailed the head coaching hire last year. D'Amico Ryans just absolutely nailed it. So.
Yep. And then Dolphins is unfortunate with the weather. I really think it took them out of their game a little bit, but both teams had to play in it.
Both teams had to play in it. Dolphins played soft. I mean, there's video Duke Riley and Eli Apple trying to tackle Patrick Mahomes playing 2-hand touch. Everything that was a criticism about the Dolphins came to fruition. You can't beat bad teams. There was only one team in the NFL that had a worse point differential than the Dolphins did against playoff teams. That was the Washington Commanders. Dolphins were minus 107 against playoff teams this year. They whoop on the bad teams, and it's the Dolphins' fault for losing to Tennessee because they wouldn't have had to play.
Exactly what I was going to say.
They wouldn't have had to play in that weather if they just wouldn't have blown a 14-point lead with 3 minutes left.
I still think from an outsider looking in, I think McDaniel's still the right guy. I think he is the best coach they've had since Shula. I think there'll be some pressure on him next year.
Should be, yeah.
And I think Tua can get it done. It's just the Dolphins not only need to get home field, win the division to get home field. I think they need to get that 1 seed.
Yeah.
That's going to be the path to Super Bowl. Which, I mean, that was kind of dumb by me. Anybody with the 1 seed is going to have an easier path to Super Bowl, but I think that's really their key.
Dolphins have only lost 4 home games over the past 2 years.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And 2 of those games, Tua didn't even play in. As far as Tua goes, weather definitely affected his game.
Why didn't he wear a glove on his throwing hand? I found that odd.
No feel.
Yeah, I found that odd. Well, I wouldn't think he'd be able to feel his hand in
that's
that kind of
weather. That's fair. Definitely took him out of his game. Couldn't throw. Couldn't do anything. Well, and it's just frustrating because he is a one-read quarterback. If his read's not there, he's not going to be able to improvise, and that's been an issue.
And I think part of this was Kansas City taking those initial reads away, but it just seemed like they were trying to get those one-on-one matchups with Hill or Mostert or Waddle, and it just wasn't working. Kansas City was just pouncing on the wide receivers.
The good teams did that. Buffalo did it twice. Baltimore did it. Good defensive coach Mike Vrabel, he did it. So it was really, I wasn't looking forward to the game at all. I'm like, maybe they'll surprise me. Wasn't all that upset afterwards because it would have been tough to go in there and win, especially 30 below wind chill.
Right.
But now off season of question marks, Tua enters his 5th-year option year. They got to get a long-term deal done with him. I said it last week. It's tough enough to find good quarterbacks in the NFL, let alone great ones. So you got to pay the good ones. And I think Tua's good enough.
Yep.
They're 40 mil over the cap, projected to be 40 mil over the cap, and they got some question marks. Christian Wilkins, free agent. Connor Williams. You look at maybe their MVP of the season was their center, Connor Williams. In the 8 games he played, they averaged 34 points a game. He missed 9 games with a knee injury. They averaged 18 points a game in those 9. So maybe the center was the most important part. But their offensive line, because Tua gets rid of the ball quickly, didn't get sacked much, but that's because the offensive line was terrible. He had to get rid of the ball. And, they were – it was bad, and their offense broke about week 15, and it never really recovered. As far as coaching staff, I know some of the guys have been mentioned their outside linebacker coach Anthony Campanile for maybe Giants defensive coordinator job. I know their offensive coordinator Frank Smith's been mentioned as a potential head coaching candidate. He doesn't call plays though. Darrell Bevel as well, but be an interesting offseason. But you look from year 1 to year 2, they got better in about every facet. So I'm expecting that again next year.
Another name that came to my head from Bronson's question earlier about coaches maybe that nobody's talking about, Lou Anarumo, defense coordinator in Cincinnati. He's been interviewed a couple times the past few years. Hadn't got a job, but maybe he's another one that nobody's talking about. Yeah. So, no, playoff football is fun. I mean, the games haven't really lived up to it. I think tonight's game will be good.
Should be.
Buccaneers, Eagles. And like I said, the winner goes to Detroit next week, which that place could be electric. It was electric last night. The Ram game will be electric next week. Is there any concern to you? Because it seemed like that was their Super Bowl last night. Is there any concern to you like Detroit feels like they've already accomplished in a way what they set out to do, and could they have a letdown next week?
For sure, especially I think if they're playing Philadelphia.
Yes.
It does help they're playing at home, though, because I think you win this huge game at home and then you have to go on the road. That's when I think you can definitely have the letdown to get blown out even. But the fact that they're back at home, I think helps them. Obviously, it helps every NFL team.
Right.
But I don't think they'll have a letdown.
Yeah, well, and for Detroit, you got to think they're thinking we're not going to play in cold weather the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Because if we win this game and Niners win, then we're going out to San Francisco in warm weather for the NFC Championship. If the Packers up to set Niners, they're coming to our place. Yep. And then the Super Bowl's inside a dome in Vegas. So
yeah.
Lucky. Bronson's got a question for you. How much more could a Mike McDaniel's offense do if he wasn't limited by Tua's size and soft arm? Would they be a Super Bowl team with a quarterback like Josh Allen? I think he means Derek Carr or Justin Herbert.
Definitely not Derek Carr. I have not liked Derek Carr for about a decade.
I think why he put him in there is because he got a strong arm. I think that's why
he does have a strong arm. Josh Allen, absolutely. They're a Super Bowl contender. Herbert, I've been a big proponent of Justin Herbert's overrated, so I can't say yes. Tua throws a much more catchable ball than Justin Herbert. I will say that. He has soft touch, accuracy, all that. Herbert just throws hard and has very little touch. And he does not throw a very catchable ball. You look at the Chargers, some of the balls that have been dropped, a lot of them should have been caught, but you look at Herbert's ball and it's flapping in the wind. Where Tua throws a very catchable ball. So Josh Allen, 1000%. They probably go 16-1 or 15-2 with Josh Allen, but those other guys, a lot of Mike McDaniel's offense has to do with timing and anticipation and accuracy, which those are the 3 things Tua does better than maybe any quarterback in the NFL. He does get hampered by his lack of arm strength, though. But it's been a question mark in the entire career, so I'm used to that. But it'll be interesting to see the wrinkles McDaniel's throws out there next season. I'm excited to see him too.
Yeah, at least you don't have the drama my team does in the offseason every year. Every year. You want to go through the games, playoff games? I know we don't know all the matchups because the game progress and tonight's game aren't finished yet, but we do know some of the matchups. San Francisco and Green Bay.
Give me the Niners.
Yeah.
I think that'll be really tough for Green Bay. That could have been their Super Bowl going into Dallas, and then I think San Fran will be just a little too much for Jordan Love.
And then who you have in tonight's game?
Give me the Eagles. They limped to the finish line, but I just feel like they get it done tonight against Tampa Bay.
I'm taking the Bucks. in the upset tonight.
Kind of like what Dallas did last year. They had to go to Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay won the division at 8-9, 9-8, whatever, 9-8, and Dallas blew them out. I don't expect Philadelphia to blow them out, but I think Philadelphia wins.
Yeah, I don't know something about this Bucks team. I think Baker and Mike Evans get it done tonight. So for you, that'd be Lions Eagles next week.
Give me the Lions. I mean, I picked them as my NFC champ, so I gotta take them.
Even though I was just saying, Lions got to be careful of a letdown, but I think if the Buccaneers win, especially, I think the Lions beat them, so I will take the Lions as well. AFC, let's presume that the Bills end up getting it done against the Steelers, so the Bills host the Chiefs.
That game of the weekend, in my opinion, be fantastic. First playoff game on the road ever for Patrick Mahomes, and this will be the J-Man's Book It prediction of the week. The Bills get that one done. Bills are rolling, unfortunately, for me. I cannot stand the Buffalo Bills. But they are rolling, playing better, probably better than any team in the NFL right now over the past 6 games, 7 games, something like that. And I just think the Bills get it done at home.
So you'll be pulling for the Chiefs, right?
I hate Patrick Mahomes so much anymore. I think I'm going to go for the Buffalo Bills.
I'm definitely rooting for the Buffalo Bills.
That's how bad it is. J-Man's Book It Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watching for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers, comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watching@infb.com. A lot better than last week.
Yes, it was. That was rare last week for you. And then I'm going with the Bills as well. I think they get it done at home. I think it'll be a raucous environment. I think it'll be a good game, but I just think the Bills are better. Kansas City's got some flaws that I don't think they can overcome. And Pittsburgh scored 24-17. So maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, if Pittsburgh, that would be kind of funny if Pittsburgh ended up winning.
Because then it would be Pittsburgh and it'd still Baltimore. Be the same matchups, right?
No, it'd be Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Then
Houston would go to Kansas City. Yeah.
But if the Steelers somehow win, do you think they'll beat Baltimore?
No shot.
No, I don't either. So if the Texans play the Chiefs, who are you taking?
Chiefs.
I would take the Chiefs as well. But in the scenario that we think if Buffalo beats Pittsburgh, I'm really trying not to confuse myself here. Houston goes to Baltimore. Who do you got?
Give me Baltimore.
I think Baltimore in a close one. I really want to take Houston the upset, but I just don't.
Didn't they play week 1 and Houston hung in there? And we're like, man, maybe Houston's halfway decent.
I don't recall. Well, you're probably right. I don't recall. I can't think back that far.
Sounds right. A few months ago.
Sounds right to me, though. But it's going to be entertaining nonetheless. Playoff football's fun. Yeah. NFL's king. I mean, if the Peacock numbers showed you anything from Saturday night, I think the teams playing helped, but everybody watches the NFL, so I don't know how much it.
The NFL knew what they were doing, putting Kansas City on there with the Taylor Swift factor. The Swifties were going to tune in. They were going to get the app if they hadn't had it already. But I saw Taylor Swift more than the Dolphins scored points on Saturday, so that was fun.
That was fun. All right, it was fun for everybody involved.
I got some word association here for you.
All right.
The Dolphins have the longest streak in the NFL now of not winning a playoff game. Now the Detroit Lions did it. The Dolphins last won a playoff game December 30th, 2000. Yes, playoff games were played before the first of the year back then. So I got 14 players / coaches that played in that game. Dolphins beat the Indianapolis Colts in overtime. So starting with Peyton Manning.
One of the GOATs. I'm not going to call him the GOAT because even though I like him better than Tom Brady, it's hard to argue with Tom Brady not being the best ever. But soft spot in my heart, of course, for bringing Super Bowl 50 home for the Broncos last time they made the playoffs.
Yeah, the Colts had a lot more noteworthy players than the Dolphins did. There's only
I can see that.
There's only 3 players of the Dolphins I have on there because I honestly don't know if you'd know anyone else that played in that game for him. Edgerrin James.
Edge, underrated for the Colts. I mean, he didn't do much after he left the Colts and went to Arizona, then Seattle, I believe, is where he ended his career. But man, he and Harrison and Manning, those 1-2-3 punches on offense were just nightmares for defenses to prepare for.
Speaking of Marvin Harrison,
smooth. His son's the same way, just smooth, quiet. He was a quiet player. You never heard him talk trash.
He was a quiet killer.
I was going to leave that one alone, but we're going there, I guess.
Good.
I'll never forget his one-handed diving catch against Tennessee. One
He
of the best
might
catches I've ever seen.
have had the best hands in NFL
Yeah,
history. He and
yeah,
maybe DeAndre Hopkins, maybe Larry Fitzgerald barely dropped anything either.
that's true.
Yeah, Marvin. It's crazy how much bigger Junior is compared to him.
Junior's faster too, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Ken Dilger.
There's a name I forgot about. Illinois Fighting Illini, I believe. Number 85, tight end. He was Colts' go-to tight end before Dallas Clark came into the fold, and then Marcus Pollard also. But I remember playing on the N64 and PS1 with Ken Dilger.
Speaking of Marcus Pollard,
yes, Syracuse boy, one of Peyton's favorite targets.
Yeah,
I think he had the 5th most touchdown receptions out of anybody Peyton ever threw to in his career, and he loved to dunk it over the crossbar because he also played basketball at Syracuse, I believe. So.
Mike Vanderjagt.
Great kicker for a while, but will always be remembered in the divisional game against the Steelers, Vandershank.
Yeah.
And being the liquored up kicker, as Peyton called him one time. And then he went down to Dallas and didn't do much for the Cowboys. And I think maybe he had a final stint in the CFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. This was his original Vandershank. They had a chance to win it as time expired, and he missed, I think, a 48-yarder. Missed a wide right,
so was the one against Pittsburgh.
So this was his original Vandershank,
which the refs were trying to help the Colts win that game against Steelers.
Every single game, Manning played there.
That one especially, though. I mean, they tried to give they had no business being in that game, and the Colts couldn't take advantage of it.
Maybe it's just because it was my formative years, but we thought Tom Brady got every call in New England. It was nothing like the Indianapolis Colts in the RCA Dome. I tell you, I'm going to take a lot of guys off, but it was true.
They did pipe in noise.
They did.
And I liked the Colts back then. So
Hunter Smith.
Hunter the punter from Notre Dame. I'm sure Pat McAfee I guarantee he broke this, but I remember going to Colts game as a kid and being amazed how many people had Hunter Smith jerseys.
Yeah.
But I guarantee Pat McAfee sold more jerseys than any punter in NFL history.
Yeah. Jeff Saturday.
Legendary Colts center, then was Colts head coach for a little while last year. Really won the job. He was also the Green Bay Packers center, and his last professional snap was to Peyton Manning in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Last Colt here, Tariq Glenn.
Tariq Glenn, a good tackle. I cannot for the life of me think where he went to college, but he was a Pro Bowler for many years, and Colts always had a good offensive line. I mean, they built their team around Peyton. They did a good job, unlike Grigson with Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
So, Tariq Glenn was a good one for many years.
Colts coach Jim Mora. I thought Dungy was there then, but he was
playoffs.
Playoffs.
Talk about playoffs. Let's hope we can win a game.
All right. Moving on to the Dolphins. I have 4 people here. Zach Thomas.
One of the best linebackers of our childhood. Texas Tech Raider. I had the butterfly collar. At least for a little bit. Number 54. J-Man was rocking that jersey for years, it felt like.
Number fell off.
Numbers fell off. We had a couple Dolphins fans around school wearing Zach Thomas jersey. So, he was a good player.
Yeah, newly minted Hall of Famer, too. Well deserved. Patrick Surtain.
I like his son a lot. PS2, but Patrick Surtain's very underrated. I mean, he was a good player for Dolphins, but I feel like he doesn't get credited enough for how good a career he had.
Yeah. He had 37 career interceptions.
Yeah, he was a ball hawk.
Pretty damn good. Yeah, he and Sam Madison, that was a pretty good duo back then.
They were.
Jason Taylor.
Yeah, I thought he was coming up. Another Jersey J-Man rocked for years.
Oh, yeah.
What was he in Akron Zip?
Yep, he was.
Akron Zip. He and Thomas, man. That was a good dynamic duo. Pass rusher and a linebacker there.
Yeah, they had great defenses, just could not score enough points with Jay Fiedler out there.
Dartmouth boy.
Last Dolphin here, Davey Wanstead.
Mustache.
Yeah,
Stash. I know he's a Bears coach, University of Pittsburgh's coach for a little while. Has been on TV for years, but just the stash. That's all I ever think about him for.
Yep.
Yeah, Thad Moody said announcer's most accurate kicker in NFL history and Vandershank. Yeah, like announcer jinx. But That was a great word association segment. I really enjoyed that list. And that is brought to you by Like It Is Every Week, Performer Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or a sales meeting in 2024, Performer Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for a fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call today at 574-210-3815. All right, J-Man, let's get you educated real quick and fast so then we can talk some college hoops, which I know you're dying to talk about.
Yeah.
Probably like, well, I'm kind of in the same boat. On this day in 1892, the basketball rules first published in Triangle magazine, written by James Naismith.
I wonder if that's why they called it the triangle offense. I know it's not. But
On this day in 1934, New York Yankees slugger Babe Ruth was coming to an end of his career. He signed a one-year contract worth $35,000, representing a pay cut of $17,000 for the Babe.
Huh. It's not a lot of money. It's probably
No.
a decent amount back then, but
On this day, 1942, Chicago Cubs dropped plans to install lights at Wrigley Field because of the military's needs for materials. It took them 35 years before lights were finally installed at the ballpark.
yep. 88 is when they were going to open, and they got rained out, so they had to do it 8988.
988.
31-17 Bills, 6 minutes left.
Yeah, I would say that game's
It's
over. On this day, 1964, San Francisco Giants made champion outfielder Willie Mays the highest paid player in baseball history at the time when they signed him to a new $105,000 per season contract.
Huh.
On this day, 1965, one of the biggest trades in NBA history happened. San Francisco Warriors sent Wilt Chamberlain to the Philadelphia 76ers for Connie Deerking, Lee Schaefer, Paul Newman, and cash.
Yeah.
Let's see here. On this day, 1978, who won the Super Bowl?
78. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
It was the Dallas Cowboys. They beat the Denver Broncos 27-10. Harvey Martin was the MVP, and so was Randy White. So Dallas defensive end and defensive tackle. That was the Broncos' first Super Bowl appearance, and Craig Morton was their quarterback, not John Elway. On this day, 1986, Montreal rookie goaltender Patrick Roy recorded his first of 66 career NHL shutouts. He was a pretty good one.
Mispronounced his last name.
Nah. Let's see here. On this day, 1994, the original LT Lawrence Taylor announced his retirement from the NFL.
Yeah.
On this day, 1995, who won the AFC Championship and who won the NFC Championship?
I think it was the Cowboys won the NFC.
Niners beat the Cowboys 38-28.
Is that San Diego?
San Diego beat the Steelers 17-13. Then the Niners would go ahead and beat the Chargers. Let's see. That might do it. On this day in 2014, the Los Angeles Dodgers signed pitcher Clayton Kershaw to the biggest deal in baseball history at the time, 7-year, $215 million package, averaging $30.7 million per year.
Man, that is light these days. That's about the
Crazy.
going rate anymore for free agents.
That was only 9 years ago.
I know. It's crazy.
And on this day last year, LeBron James surpassed 38,000 NBA career points, joining only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 113-112 loss to the Philadelphia 76ers at Crypto.com Arena. I still want to call it Staples.
No, I just call it Staples.
Yeah.
Staples.
So, and that is going to do it for the On This Day segment this week, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Moody Woodcrafts. Moody Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them at Moody Woodcrafts on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your sign order. So, and Thad probably has a comment here. Yes, he does. 31-17 Bills with ball, 6 minutes left. So not only is he a great sponsor, he is a loyal viewer and listener of the podcast, and we appreciate his support. All right, J-Man. I didn't leave us much time to talk Big Ten hoops. So you want to go ahead and just predict games for the week?
Let's do it. Yeah. I got it pulled up here.
right.
Right now, we have Iowa with a 9-point lead at Minnesota. I think Minnesota's starting to wake up a little bit. They had a nice run, but
Yep, I think Iowa holds on and wins that.
yeah, I agree. Michigan won at home today against Ohio
They
State.
did.
Bad
I did
loss
not see
for
that.
Ohio
Wow.
State. Michigan's talented. It's
They are.
scary. It's scary going on the road there, but
Scary going on road anywhere.
yeah, unless you're Maryland.
Well,
Purdue at Indiana.
Yes, my least favorite sporting event of the year every year. Purdue right now is a 10-point favorite, which
It's my Missouri.
makes me want to throw up on myself. I know Trey Galloway's going to hit about 8 threes tomorrow night. He's due. I do think this is a series. Purdue had won 9 games straight, but Indiana's won 3 out of the last 4, and including the season sweep of the Boilers last year. I think Purdue gets it done by 6 points tomorrow.
Yeah, after watching Purdue on Saturday, I think they run the table.
I hate you. I absolutely hate you.
No, the kiss of death last week. That was crazy.
Purdue run table, 16-point loss.
You can only hope to contain Tominaga.
That was the only time Purdue plays them. So,
give me Purdue in this one. I just don't think Indiana can make enough outside shots.
I think Purdue's got to force them to beat us with threes. But I expect Galloway to go off. Somebody's gonna.
Yeah.
That happens every year.
But yeah, I think Purdue wins, but I don't know if they cover. I think that'll be
No, I think 10's very large. I think it'll close about 8.5 tomorrow.
Wisconsin at Penn State.
Penn State's a dangerous place to play. Dangerous team, too, believe it or not, because they'll press you. They make you turn the ball over, and if they can get hot from 3, they can be in the game. But Wisconsin's leading the league by 2 games. I think Wisconsin gets it done.
Give me Wisconsin. Yeah, I think they
Greg Gard's doing a heck of a job.
No, he is. This is a good Wisconsin team. Nebraska at Rutgers.
Nebraska looked awful at Iowa, but Rutgers can't score. Give me Nebraska.
Give me Rutgers, just because it's Jersey Mike's. Maryland at Northwestern.
Maryland wakes up on the road this time, game Northwestern.
Yeah, that was only the second win Kevin Willard had on the road in Big Ten play yesterday. Brad Underwood can't beat him.
He's there. His kryptonite.
It's unbelievable. So Underwood's 2-7 against them. If they would have just won 2 of those games, they would have 2 additional Big Ten championships. If they would have just beaten Maryland at home in 2021, a 500 Maryland team at home in 2021, and if they wouldn't have choked in 2019, a 15-point halftime lead, Brad Underwood would have 3 regular season Big Ten championships, but they can't beat Maryland. But yeah, give me Northwestern. I don't think Maryland's that good. They played well yesterday. It was a perfect storm for Illinois to lose yesterday, and it happened. So
you kind of spoke into existence by tweeting at them not to ruin your weekend. And...
Yeah. Minnesota at Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Me too. Illinois at Michigan.
Illinois bounces back on the road.
You look at Illinois' 3 of Illinois' 4 losses this year against elite point guards: Kolek, Braden Smith, Jameer Young, Doug McDaniels. For some reason, not suspended at home. He is on the road.
That's the weirdest. It's weird up there.
Illinois by 1. I might have to drive to Ann Arbor because I can get in for $2. So Indiana at Wisconsin, big week for the Hoosiers.
I think the Hoosiers lose both games.
I do too. Give me Wisconsin. Saturday, Penn State, Ohio State. I'm taking Ohio State.
I am as well.
Purdue, Iowa. Purdue's had a hard time in Iowa.
Not too bad the last few years. I am taking the Boilers, and this is the weird thing about this. I'll hurry up with the story. This is 6 years ago on Saturday. I got my dog on Gotcha Day, and Purdue played at Iowa that day, and Purdue broke their school record for threes in a game. Not saying Purdue's going to do that again, but I think just with that sentiment, I think Purdue wins.
Pretty sure I was at your house when that happened.
Yes,
last one here, Rutgers at Illinois.
Good week for the Illini. They go 2-0.
Yeah, I think Illinois gets that one done fairly easily. Should be fairly easy.
All right, J-Man, the birdie or bogey, what combination of quarterback and pass catcher have combined for the most touchdowns in playoff history, NFL playoff history?
Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski.
You, my friend, getting a birdie.
Oh, yeah.
15.
Dang, I almost said Mahomes and Kelsey already.
Yeah, I think they're getting up there.
Yeah, I figured it was not a wide receiver the way you worded it.
Yeah, I know. I stumbled over my words a little bit. I want to be politically correct.
Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show. We'll be back at it next Monday with another episode. Have a fantastic week, everybody.